And you'll learn this as we get older. We see our role of our parents sometimes change. And yet I do know this, I was sharing this with somebody, I am still thankful and blessed to have both of my dad and my mom still alive. Got together for Thanksgiving. It's irritating to me sometimes when I still see them being mom and dad. But I know why they do this. And it's all out of love. They'll never stop being that. Chuck, you know what you...
Kathy.
Yes. But what you and Kathy, you know, what you're experiencing in this moment is the moment no parent wants to go through. But you said it earlier. And I'm going to invite you to do this. Not that you don't know you're in a room full of people, but just look over your shoulder just for a second, please. Because you've got a room full of people here. And Chuck, you said it best. You know what? Before we entered the room today, Chuck was just reminded, he said, you know, there's a lot of things that parents don't always know. They don't always learn about their sons or their daughters, and maybe particularly their sons. Sons tend to do son-like things. Sometimes we know about them, sometimes we don't want to know about them, right? But one of the things that Chuck was so impressed by was the number of friends that Greg had. That's a real tribute to you. Because you know what? That's the kind of a person, I know you would all say this, is that this is who Greg was. He could be so heart-giving. He could be so welcoming. He could connect so many people and keep them together. Just before Chuck, you come up here, I'm going to say this. Please take this to heart because, again, you probably saw my face all during this visitation. We didn't get to introduce each other. I'm Wes Werner. I'm a pastor from Watertown, but I help the Pagan-Costs out quite a bit with families at times like this. I so appreciate that you all came, that you all stayed, and I think, again, it is a real testimony to Greg. One of those characteristics that he possessed in an abundant quality was his ability to connect people and keep them connected. Now, I also know this, so please be very deliberate when I'm saying this. Sometimes when we lose that connecting person, you know, this is just how our minds work. Sometimes we think, oh, everything's going to slowly fall apart. So here's my encouragement to you. Here's my challenge to you. Because if you knew this man at all and you love this man as much as he loved you, you'll know he connected you not just to him, but to each other. So if you want to honor Greg's life, I don't want to tell you what to do, but just one way to do is, be as big-hearted as he was because he was. But stay connected because he put you together, not just family, but friends who are like family in the first place. I hope that as you leave here today that these ties don't just dissipate a little bit. I hope that they get even stronger. I hope that they do. I've spoken enough for the time. Chuck, I would love to hear your words too as father, dad, please.
Yeah.
And let's give this wonderful man your attention as well too.
Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody for coming. It was a total shock to us.
I don't think the microphone.
Okay.
It's okay.
He
we'll
doesn't
talk.
need these.
It was a shock. And as a parent, it was one of the hardest things in life to do. The best part is that we actually, when it happened to Greg, we were able to be with him. We were able to hold his hand, say prayers. And it was just knowing we were able to say goodbye. And I think my tears, I run out of tears. I was very heartbroken to lose my friend, my son. But, I have all these memories that I can say that I had the connection with Greg, and I'll never forget that. He's not in pain anymore, which is just really a lovely thing. As a parent, parents that know, you hate to see when your child is sick or hurting or in pain, and there's just nothing that you can do. And to see now that he is not in pain anymore, it's very comforting to know that I don't have to worry that way anymore. So, I want to thank everybody that's here. You guys have been super. I as a parent, Kathy and I, we didn't realize the amount of love that Greg had given out to people. It's really, to us, we are just so grateful we had Greg as a son, because he's taught us things that, you know, as a parent, you just, I don't know, yeah, from the heart,
Yeah,
right?
big heart.
He had that heart that he can still teach myself to do. So again, thanks everybody. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Chuck. Sometimes parents, this is one of the roles of parents. We teach children. Even when we grow, as we'll always be, not children, but we'll always be sons, we'll always be daughters. Parents will always be teachers. I'll tell you what, though, it also works the other way, too. We do learn from our children. We do learn from our sons. We do learn from our daughters. That's how God intended it, too. Chuck, I just want to say thank you because, well, that's from the heart.
Yeah.
That is absolutely from the heart. Maddie, I know you've been itching, right?
Yeah.
I still wanted to see the arm wrestling match. I really did, to go first, but you were good enough to let your grandpa go first. But let's give Maddie our attention too, please.
Well, it's going to be really hard, but we'll get through it.
You're gonna do great.
Okay. I would like to start off by saying
You got it.
thank you to everyone who is here, but also a really big thank you to everyone that has been supporting and loving my family and I. Today I'm going to be sharing a little something I wrote for my dad. Dear Dad, you were an amazing man, and the people here today loved you so very much. You were always one to welcome people and help them when they were not having a good time. You had the biggest heart out there. You made sure the people around you were okay before yourself. You made a big impact on others. You will never ever be forgotten. I'm honestly having a hard time standing up here right now talking, but I know that you're looking down on me and telling me to be the strong woman that you know I am, and that you are always by my side. I'll wake up every morning thinking about you, and every night when I close my eyes. I'll miss our jokes, our jams in the car, your laugh, Sunday football, and even everything in between. Even when you would get a little mad because I didn't rinse my dishes off all the way. You truly were my best friend and the best father. But I know that you're up there in heaven, probably doing cartwheels because you're no longer in pain. I could truly go on forever and talk about the last 17 years I was able to spend with an amazing man like you, but I would be here for years. I have a big journey to accomplish and a story to finish on this earth, but I know that you will be watching me over my shoulder, cheering me on the most. I love you forevermore, Dad. Don't you ever forget that. Love, your little princess.
This is one of the reasons why, if this was actually a full-blown service, I usually invite people to do just this. And I know you maybe had an opportunity to do something in that side room, a video tribute. And I know that getting up in front of a microphone, in front of a camera, isn't everybody's cup of tea. But to hear a daughter say the words that Manny just said, tell you what, nobody could say them better. Nobody could say them truer. And you said, one of the many wonderful things that you said, Maddie, I'm glad that you said this, is you're never going to forget your father. Today, friends, is not about forgetting. I hope we all know this, right? This isn't. Today is about just, again, celebrating, remembering. Our mind's always going to take us to the last thing, and sometimes the last thing isn't the best thing to remember. So my encouragement again, just like what I know Maddie's going to do, she's going to remember all those good things that she listed. Even the part about not wiping off dishes, right? I did the same thing too. I know that we have at least one other speaker. Is it Diane?
Denise.
Denise. Denise. Thank you, Denise.
Greggy, boy, so much to be said about you right now. I'm trying to deal with a huge hole in my heart that was part of you and our almost 2-decade-long friendship that included your family and ours. I think of all the fun we had, but mostly I think about your huge heart, the biggest heart I ever saw. But God only takes the best, and He must have needed you, a loving guy like you. So on angel's wings you flew. So now you get your angel wings too. You were a most kind, generous, loving person Jeff and I knew, and were able to call you best friend and family since the day we met. I was so proud of you this last year, doing what you had to do for those beautiful children you loved with all your heart. I think a lot of people would be brokenhearted because you had so many friends, definitely your family, and everyone had a beautiful story that we got the honor to hear from you. We knew the one thing you loved more than life was Madeline, your princess, and Isaac, your mini you. But these kids were your world, and everyone knew that. And what a proud father you were to those beautiful children, now adults. And so many of us will step up to the plate to see them through. That I already know, and we will love them to the day we meet again. I cannot think of my favorite story because we have so many, and the things and places we have been together with your family and ours. You were part of our family and us part of yours. My heart will always miss you, and my tears are frozen because our minds just don't understand. However, sadness fills our hearts. And I think of you, I will think of you every holiday because except for 2021, we are always together making memories. This pain won't go away for a long time because you imprinted it on all of our hearts with your love for people. You also loved your mom and dad so deeply, and many conversations told me that. You were a very good man. To one of the best guys I ever met, now an angel. We love you and miss you, and definitely won't be easy for us on earth, but know God has a plan for you, and it's not with us. So fly high, angel, with no pain, my friend. I can hear your laughter and see your smile from heaven. It was the greatest honor knowing you. And we will always speak your name and say he was our best friend, and what a huge heart he had. With love to heaven's gates, I hope this reaches you. I know God will see it through. We love you, and we will never forget you, Greggy, the man that was true blue. R.I.P. Greg Nettesheim. May you rest in peace. Thank you, Denise.
You should put that right here. I'll give it right here.
Denise, thank you very much for sharing. You know, you raised the question I think everybody always asks is why, right? And Chuck, I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, is like when we see a loved one in pain, when we see a child, a son, a daughter in pain, it takes a lot sometimes. It almost sounds a little bit like a cliche, but it isn't. Can God take pain away by taking them home? It hurts us, and we hurt because we love. We all know that. But I hope that you believe, as you've heard tonight, Greg's not in pain.
No.
Greg has no pain. And if that's where we can get our minds thinking again too, boy, we miss him, and we'll remember him, and we'll love him, but we want to be with him, right? That's what we want. I'm thankful for the people who've spoken already, but I do want to set aside a little bit of time if there is someone who would like to share a story, a memory. I heard several out in the foyer area before. If any of you would like to share one again, I know, like I said, we'll set aside a little bit of time if you would like to. Anybody like to come forward?
We didn't realize you're a minister.
That's even better.
No. The stories might have been.
Oh, we have to
no.
change our stories. That's why I know what's coming up now.
It's like, whoa.
I didn't blush, Chuck. I always say this, it's like, I think people are real, right? And there's one thing, it's the very first line that I saw on the obituary for Greg is, some lives are meant to be lived large, right? Meaning, he loved to live, he lived life, he lived large. Nothing, there's no shame in that. There really isn't. And I wish, again, if there's something that I would encourage you to take away with today, because I see this, and I see this sometimes at moments like this. So I pray that you don't fall into this kind of a step, is instead of, it's kind of like in a football game. I stop playing to win, I play not to lose, right? Sometimes we don't live, we live not to die. Don't do that. Don't get stuck that way. I hope that you live life to the full, just the way that Greg did.
Yeah.
That's a great lesson, a great teacher. And that's something, a wonderful characteristic, again, I wish that everybody would take to heart. You do not want to sit and listen to me keep droning on. Somebody else must want to share a story.
I'll share something.
You can if you like, sure.
It's not a story, I guess, but it's just something that I just want to say.
Yeah.
I don't have this planned out or anything, but Greg was a very dear friend of mine, and he touched my life. His kindness is just off the charts, and he helped me out when I needed it in a time in my life where I was struggling, and he let me in his house, and he said, you know, my home is your home, and he helped me through a real hard time in my life, and I love him for that. He was just a great person, funniest guy I know. I mean, I just wanted to just say it, Greg is just the most awesome person I knew. He really was.
Oh, thank
Love you, Greg.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. By the way, Danny.
Greg is my next door neighbor. He is a very good friend to me. Every time I got done with work, I'd give him a call, be like, hey man, you need anything from the gas station? And
Hell yeah.
he'd be like, yeah, grab me a couple fireballs and something. And he'd appreciate that I'm drinking a Busch Light right here. But like, that's not a good thing, but you know, and we would have good times. And when, like, I would go, say, run over to my house, like, hey, Greg, I'm out of beer. I gotta run over and grab some more. He'd be like, okay, if I'm asleep, wake me up. It wasn't just wake me up. It was, yo, wake me up, you fat bastard. So, and that was the words that came out of his mouth. So those are words that I'm making up. And it was a pretty good time. And
you made some
me and him,
good meats.
oh, we loved watching Forged in Fire on TV, just sipping on a couple beers after work. And smoked meats. We definitely made a bunch of smoked meats. And he taught me how to make the perfect brisket.
Yeah.
He did. He honestly did. And I couldn't even tell you. Going out in the pool, we had a ton of good times. And he was great.
Yeah. Thank you, David.
And I love Greg.
Yeah. Thank you, David. You got pictures I haven't even seen.
I know, me neither.
Please.
Oh, well, we got together.
Brisket story just reminded me I'm a little
Now we
hungry.
got together.
But brisket is, ooh, done right.
I'm the other half of the neighbor. Greg had such a great heart, and he actually helped me when I was at the lowest low of my life. And I'll never not be thankful for him helping me, just providing his friendship. Family dinners are gonna be a decibel quieter in the neighborhood now. And I don't think I could have ever met a greater person. He had the most kind heart, and he always gave to others before himself. And now I know he's flying on those wings of eagles like he's always wanted, and with his angel wings. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chris. It's okay. Thank you.
I don't want to assume all of you, but maybe many of you have heard that phrase, love your neighbor, right? It's one of those, not just a saying, but a command that Jesus gave to his followers. Love your neighbor. Love isn't like loving ice cream. Love isn't just an emotion. Love is action. It's intended to be active. And so when I always ask people, do you know who your neighbor is? Well, yes, it can be next door. And that's where you get the beer and brisket, right? Which is great. But I always say this, your neighbor is anybody who isn't you. Your neighbor is anybody who isn't you. So geography is out of it. It's just the people that God puts in your path. And again, who did God put in all of your path? He put Greg, or vice versa. But to be a good neighbor, to be that loving, to have that kind of relationship, again, great way to honor him is to be that kind-hearted, as you said. To be that loving. Not just when things are going great, but as we just heard, and I don't need details, but at a low point, that's a friend. That's a neighbor. That's someone who loves. We don't always see that kind of love. But I'm glad that we do, because when we get examples like that, and our world needs examples like that, then let us be examples that way too. Because I'm hearing, and I've heard a lot already tonight, is that that's the kind of person that Greg was. He set examples for people. most of them good to follow, right? Because he had a sense of humor. Anybody else? Yes, please.
Really hard. So my family all kind of, I didn't prepare anything. I just kept on to speak. My uncle was a man who did everything like 100%. I mean, his emotions were 100%, whether he was crying, whether he was laughing, whether he was making one of his jokes, whether he was angry. And, you know, I think we all saw something from that. And one of the moments that I definitely have in my life that my uncle shared is I was about, I don't know, maybe 3. And, you know, I was at daycare playing house and, you know, I was the mom and I got really angry at this kid. So you know what? I walked out the door and I yelled, "I'm fucking out of here." I got a phone call. My parents got a phone call. And my mom came and she's like, "I don't know where that came from. I've never said that in my household." Fair enough. I think my uncle has definitely had his fair share of where I might have heard that from. But on the contrary, whether that was a good way to follow in his footsteps, I'm not sure. But he definitely showed me what love means. And he would revelate, like he would have done anything for me and my sister, for my family. And he always told me, he said, "No matter what, you call me and I'll be there." Yep. And he always he would always send me the best, birthday texts or anything, and he was always in support. And he will be greatly missed, and his love will forever be here, though. His jokes, I think we all have our fair share of jokes that we know from Greg.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But if we can learn anything from my uncle, I think to love people and not judge people, because everybody has their days, everyone has their moments. I mean, we all have those times where we just want to yell, "I'm fucking out of here." So, I mean, I've had my fair share of those. So, but I think just knowing my uncle, loves every one of us, and is always watching us from heaven and guarding over our lives. He will be forever missed.
That's a great 3-year-old story. But that's understandable. 3, we don't have always that level of discernment. But wow, you must have really been upset that I thought you were going to hit somebody. That's what I thought you were going to say. I think your story was a little better than what I was thinking.
I never heard that one before.
Thank you. And that's just it, it's a great reminder. I didn't get your name. Ella. We all have bad days, bad weeks, bad months, sometimes a bad year, right? And, you said it best, is when we encounter that, it's very easy to judge. Don't be the judge. Not our job.
Yeah.
Really not our job. And try as hard as it may be sometimes to understand where an emotion may be coming from. That's the hard thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I wouldn't stormtroop out of the daycare though next time. You're beyond that. Yeah. Anybody else has a great story? Anybody else? Thank you.
First off, I want to start off that Greg is a great friend, not just a friend, but he was like a brother. He's always willing to help. He's always there. You need it, he will be there. Well, one day I wanted to buy a rifle, and my wife said, go ahead. Well, I'm not dumb. I got in my car and called him. So we went to go gun shopping. I bought my AR. Had it for about a month, didn't even shoot it yet. Come on. So him and we went to the rifle range, and I didn't know how important this meant to him. So he told me. It was fun, lots of fun. You know, he was slow, he was hurting. You know, he took our breaks, but oh, we blew shit up. It was fun. Yeah. Just the small things like that, you know. I'm going to cherish that memory forever. Smallest, it was small. We had fun. There's another time I was gifted a bottle of whiskey from 1958. Thinking when's a good time to drink it. My buddy Rick, who was up here talking earlier, he was at one of his low points. Yeah, this is a great time to open it up. We met over at Greg's house. And we drank that whole bottle. It's the best whiskey I've ever drank, and I don't think I've ever drinking whiskey that good. But we all know how he loves his whiskey. That's a couple of many, but I really wanted to share that one. It meant a lot to you too.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Like 1958, I'm just glad you picked something that was finally older than me, right? Close, but not, right? You mentioned the little things, and again, I think the little things are often the big things. Those are what we really remember, and that's what makes them so special. That's why you'll always remember that. That's what you should remember. Anybody else? Well, it's okay, and oh yeah, absolutely.
Is it working? Greg was, he's my best friend's dad, and over the years, he became more than just that to me. He took me in as his own. He has a really big heart, and he opened it up to me. And I remember there'd be nights, there'd just be me and Isaac, just hanging out there, bored, not knowing what to do, and there's his dad. Hey boys, want to make me some spaghetti or give me a large cup of ice water? Coming right up. Oh, miss that. Greg did a lot for me too. A lot for me over the years. There's been times where I've cried in his arms, times he's cried in mine. I remember one time puking in his bathroom. What are you doing in there, beating off? No?
Yes, he would.
He would say it.
Just wanted to say I love that man. Always will, and thank you.
Thank you, Will. You have nothing to comment on that one? That's okay. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm a friend of the family. I don't know Greg. I only met him a few times in my life. Well, I'm emotional from everybody here. You can see how much love he gave, how much love he received in return. and research that he loves fruit.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm one of Isaac's best friends, and I just wanted to say that I didn't know, like, we met when we were how old? 5, 6? Yeah, exactly. But I just wanted to say that throughout knowing you and knowing your dad, I have learned some truly, truly important lessons about friendship and being there for one another. And your dad also helped me to come out of my shell, not be so insecure and be sure of myself. And that was a huge lesson that he provided. You know, if you ever have second doubts, cast those away because they'll just bring you down. That's what he taught me. And I carry that with our friendship too, never to doubt one another and always be there for each other. I love you, man, okay?
I guess I'll say something. So I'm the guy, if you don't know me, who people call Mini Greg. Me and my dad have been through a lot over the past, I don't know, almost 20 years of my life. There's been a lot of situations and stuff, and I've moved out, I've had a kid, I did some pretty bad shit, and in the end, my dad was always the guy that was like, come back, or I'll help you, or, let's go have a beer and talk about it. And that's just one thing I don't think I'm ever gonna forget, is just how much he actually cared about me and my sister and everybody. I don't wanna cry, God, hold on. But just one of the good memories I've always had was, so I had a couple friends over, and he decided last minute, hey, let's throw a fucking party. and so I'm never gonna forget that day, because, he always told me it was a dream to do this one thing with me, and it was to stand in the living room, dance to music, and then push everything out of the way and put a KY jelly pool in the middle and watch people fight. So, I don't know, he was just all around funny, he cared, and he was my best friend. I'm really gonna miss him a lot.
No.
You're not of age.
Everybody keeps coming up.
Hi, I'm Ari. I'm one of Maddie's childhood best friends. I haven't seen Greg in a while, and it makes me sad that I, didn't get to say goodbye. But I just remember growing up, me and Maddie would always try to pull our little shenanigans, and she'd pull me to the side and she'd be like, hey, you ask my dad, because I know he'll say yeah. So I remember one time I went up to him and I was, trying to convince him to do something stupid, and he just kind of looked at me and he's like, no. He's like, I can say no to you. You're like one of my daughters. Like, and I just remember standing there, and I wasn't even upset. I wasn't upset that we couldn't do whatever we wanted to do, because I truly felt accepted and loved, and I didn't know that, other people could love you. I thought that was just your family. And he was the first person to just truly care for me outside of my family, and it just shows how big of a heart he had.
Thank you.
So I've known Greg for about 5 years now, and just in that short time, he's really just shown me like what it means to truly just care about someone who you didn't know or whatever, but I don't know, I just remember having a lot of good times with him, and every Sunday watching football with him, always talking about different players or his fantasy team, and he showed me like how much he cared about Maddie, and he really helped her get through a lot of stuff too. I guess just how good of a guy he was to everyone he was around, and how much he picks people up.
Yeah.
You know, thank you
Thanks,
guys.
And you're not quarantining with us out here.
I don't hear a theme. Everything is so sparse and so different. I don't understand that. It's nice to have that kind of a recurring thought, because in your own individual way, unique way, he showed his care and his love, family or not. I guess, you know, I love it when people treat others like family. That's what we're to do. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm Greg's Uncle John. And yeah, there is a theme tonight. And it's a great theme. And I tell you, you know, Chuck and Kathy, that goes back to parenting.
Yeah.
And, you know, it comes down and we as parents, like you said, you had your parents there, and, you know, we never stopped. And I've just got a few things. I kind of got away from Greg as the years went on. And, but when we were young, you know, we all lived right there. And it was so much fun because you'd always hear Greg's big voice out of you know? And you always knew when Greg was there. And, you know, the family events. And Julie reminded me the other day of Christmas. And Grandma used to get so irritated at Greg because he'd sit and fart anywhere. So one time, Greg's got a fart, he scoots over to the bathroom door, gets on the other side of the threshold, and he farts. Because Grandma did it in the bathroom. You know, but it's just, you know, Greg watched our kids when we were little. He taught both Angela and Jason how to ride a bike. You know, and Greg was watching the kids one day, and they were playing a game, and they had the towel over them, and they're jumping around. Well, of course, Angela's got to fall and knock her front teeth out. And poor Greg calls Julie in a panic at work because Angela's laying there all full of blood and everything's going on. But Greg kept really good composure of the whole thing. So, you know, Greg used to help me when he was little. You know, we'd do things in my place, and I had a woodshed over at the farm, and Greg would come over and be with Grandma and Grandpa, and he'd always come down and see what Uncle John's doing. Because him and I always had some good stories to share and talk about. So, but yeah, this definitely was a gut punch.
Mm-hmm.
When I got the text the other day, it was unbelievable. I sat at the kitchen table.
It's like a
"Liz,
dream."
What's wrong? And I says, Grady died. It's like, how can this happen? But you know, God does have a plan for all of us, and Greg, you're flying up there in peace and heaven, and I'm sure anybody that has gone in the past had their arms open to love Greg. Yeah. So, rest in peace, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
first son is Jason? Is Jason, you are still here. I thought you might come up. But I heard from Jason, I gleaned earlier that Greg taught him how to ride a bike. You don't ever forget that as a kid, do you? No. The first time you ever learn how to stay upright, training wheels are off, right? And it's, again, those little things. But wow, a lot of different ways that he showed love and care and kindness. Absolutely.
Oh, I forgot one thing.
Yes.
I cooked smoked hams for tomorrow.
Excellent.
That's good. Hell
yeah! Are those gonna be at St. Catherine's tomorrow? Okay. I'm gonna be at St. Catherine's tomorrow. When you're all upstairs at Mass at 11, I'll be down in the kitchen, probably just making sure everything's okay. No, I won't do that. You touch on one other thing, and I know, again, it's a characteristic I heard all tonight from everybody. His ability to be present. There's one thing that I see as is disappearing from our world because of our time. Everybody is so busy, and when we're busy, we aren't always available. If we're not available, we're not present. Being present is huge in relationship. Very huge. And if that was something that you saw Greg do, being present, that's, again, one of those encouraged challenges I guess I'd lay before you. Try to live that out. That's important. That's a great example to see. Anyone else?
He had the best beard.
Best beard.
Beard?
Beard.
I'll give him that.
Yep.
So I'm Greg's niece, and the thing that I wanted to just say was like how much he always like just put aside whatever garbage was going on in his life and brought like goodness to everybody. He would always just like share like all of his memories, but he would also like share like all the goodness that's happening in his life prior and what's happening in like the present for him. And he just always, if you could always tell if like something bad was happening like at a holiday, like outside, he would come back inside and just like be super happy and like try to show his love to everybody, and he would, and like it would just bring like the holiday like a better touch. And I feel like that's what our family's gonna miss like these upcoming holidays.
Yeah.
So, but
That's just a reminder that caregivers need care. You know, we can help everybody, be available. I just said be available for people, but also be available to self. That's important too. Caregivers need care themselves. Okay. Thank you.
Maddie asked me to come up here, Wendy. So I know Greg through Megan and Sarah, and in my younger years in life, pre-having my own family. And we would spend, I think, almost every weekend of my life for 3 years going out in Oconomowoc and staying at Greg's house. And a couple things that stand out. I remember one time I was over there playing cards with him, and he said, "I bet you can't kick my hand." And he held his hand up, and being a smart ass like I am, I said, "I sure can kick your hand." And I threw my leg up in the air, and my whole body went up in the air, and then my whole body came down and hit the floor. And the first thing Greg did was ask if I was okay and apologize. And once he knew I was, I thought he was gonna pee his pants. But he always, I just remember, he always was so welcoming. He always lifted everyone's confidence. He told everyone, you know, not to take crap from anyone. Don't let people hurt you. That shouldn't hurt you. And he always gave us a safe place to land. We would all go out and he wouldn't come with us because I think he thought, you know, we were just ridiculous and he would let us do our thing. But then he always gave us a safe place to be at the end of the night. He opened his home, people would be sleeping on his couches and his floors, and he always made sure, he was the one that made sure we were all okay. He just was always kind and always had an open door, and that's how I always think of Greg.
Thank you.
I was Greg's ex-sister-in-law, and it's really hard because I can't imagine my niece and nephew not having their dad. But I think of all the time the same thing. He had such a huge heart, and we were there all the time. Like Alex said, I have some of the best memories of my life with him. He stood up at my wedding. He helped me when I was a single mom with Anthony. And just to prove, we were looking through stuff the other night. He kept every letter Megan ever wrote him since their 1 month of going out. Megan made sure to put it in the letter. We've been together 1 month. But he kept all of them, every single one. And it just shows how much he cared and loved my sister too through all these years, everything she's went through. And he's gonna be missed so much. When I look at Isaac and Maddie, I see him. They look just like him. And he loved you guys so much. He talked about your family so much every time he was around us. So I'm just thankful we got all the years we did with him. Thank you.
That's a great amount of stories, and I'm sure they don't end. One encouragement that I always make is that, especially at this time of year, because this is now a season of firsts, and I know how much you love and I know how much you miss. So my encouragement again to all of you as friends or family like friends or friends like family, please stay connected. Please stay connected. And in the weeks and the months and even throughout next year, I hope that you will share your great stories and share your great memories. And again, even do better, live those good lessons that he taught. Put them to practice. Don't just let them be forgotten. Because if you do that, that's a great reminder of heart every day of what Greg meant to you all. Please do that. Just again, a reminder, we're going to have, what are we having? Our smoke tan tomorrow? Mass at St. Catherine's first. That's at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. I hope that you can join us there. I know Father Mike will be there. Afterwards, of course, there's a short luncheon that you would be invited to as well. I'm glad there's ham at that. But thank you also. I just want to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be a part and to really get to, I did not know Greg. And now I know a little bit more about Greg. And what a dear man to get to know. I wish I would have known him as well as you all. This is one of the good ones. This is one that should be remembered fondly and example should be followed. Let me just close our evening with just a word of prayer, if you would, please. Father and Son, Jesus and Holy Spirit, again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving us Greg, for this moment of time where he was not just son or brother, but he was also father and friend to so many. And I know that while hearts may be a little bit heavy, I hope that you pour out your Spirit on us, lighten our loads, lighten our burdens, replace these thoughts that may be troubling today with great memories, great reminders, and great examples that we are to follow. We love Greg. And Father, we know that you love him too. Thank you for taking away his pain. And now, my Father, I ask you that you be present in the lives of these people. You take away their pain. You take away their sadness. You be with them every step of the way. You get them out of this season that seems a little bit dark, and you lead them into such great light. Keep these friends connected. Keep them together in love. And Father, just pour out your blessings on them. We ask this all in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. 11 o'clock.
How you do?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, they could very well be right, exactly.
They'll get tall.
Sweet.